There comes a moment in everyone's life when the mirror feels heavier than usual. You look at yourself and realize something isn't right. Not because you've failed, but because you've settled. You see the gap between who you are and who you could be. You feel it deep inside. That quiet voice that says, "This isn't the end of me, there's more." That's the moment when rebuilding begins. It's not when life is easy, it's when life breaks you open and demands that you rise. Rebuilding yourself isn't about pretending you've never fallen. It's about deciding to stand again, stronger, wiser, more focused than before. The world may see your cracks as weakness, but those cracks are where your strength begins to show. Every scar carries a lesson. Every failure hides a seed of growth. And every setback is just an invitation to rebuild with greater purpose. So if you're tired of the old story, if you're ready to take back your power, this message is for you. Because the truth is, you don't need to start over. You just need to start rebuilding. And the person you'll become on the other side will surprise you. Accept responsibility for your life. That's where every transformation begins. Until a person decides that their life, their choices, and their results are entirely their own doing, nothing truly changes. It's easy to point fingers at circumstances, at people, or at luck. It's easy to say that the world has been unfair or that someone else had it easier. But the truth is, the moment you start taking ownership of everything in your life, both the victories and the failures, you gain control over your destiny. Responsibility is not a burden, it's a form of power. It's the realization that you hold the pen that writes the next chapter of your story. When you accept that, you stop waiting for chances and start creating change. There comes a time when you must stand still and face the mirror, not to criticize yourself, but to confront yourself, to ask, how did I get here? And more importantly, where do I go from here? The person in that mirror is not your enemy. That's the builder, the one capable of rebuilding from scratch. Accepting responsibility is not about feeling guilty for past mistakes. It's about reclaiming your authority to correct them. You can't move forward by carrying resentment toward the past. You move forward when you say, I may not be responsible for what happened to me, but I am responsible for what I do next. That single statement separates those who change their lives from those who stay stuck in them. Many people spend their lives waiting for the perfect moment, the right connection, the right opportunity. They say, when things get better, I'll get better. But that's not how life works. Things get better when you get better. Life responds to your growth, not your wishes. If you keep waiting for the world to change before you act, you'll spend your life standing still. The person who rebuilds themselves understands that progress is not a matter of luck, but of deliberate choice. They take charge of their mornings, their habits, their time, their energy. They stop blaming, stop complaining, and start constructing. Taking responsibility means you no longer give others the power to control how you feel or where you go. You stop saying, they made me angry, and start saying, I chose to react that way. You stop saying, they didn't believe in me, and start saying, I'll believe in myself. You stop saying, it's not fair, and start asking, what can I do to change it? Life will never be perfectly fair, but it will always be fair enough to reward effort, courage, and consistency. When you take responsibility, you no longer seek fairness. You create results. There's freedom in ownership. When you realize that you are responsible for your happiness, you stop chasing validation from others. When you realize you are responsible for your success, you stop waiting for permission to start. When you realize you are responsible for your growth, you stop comparing yourself to others. This kind of freedom comes with weight, but it's the kind of weight that strengthens you. Responsibility is the gym of the soul. It builds the muscle of character. Every challenge becomes a workout. Every failure becomes a lesson. Every setback becomes fuel. You can't rebuild yourself if you're still holding on to excuses. Excuses are the bricks of the old life, the one that collapsed. Every time you say, I can't because, you're building walls that trap you inside your limitations. Responsibility tears those walls down and replaces them with doors that lead to new possibilities, new versions of you, new outcomes. It's not that people who rebuild themselves never fall. They simply refuse to stay down. They take responsibility for getting back up every single time. When you decide to take responsibility, your language changes. You start to say, I will figure it out, instead of, I don't know how. You start to say, I'll find a way, instead of, it's too hard. You start to see failure not as proof that you're not enough, but as evidence that you're trying. Responsibility gives you a new kind of confidence, the kind that doesn't depend on perfect circumstances, but on persistent effort. You start realizing that success doesn't come from what's easy, it comes from what's earned. Every time you hold yourself accountable, you grow. Every time you make a promise to yourself and keep it, you build trust in your own word. That trust becomes the foundation of your new self. Rebuilding yourself starts with that trust. Because if you can't count on yourself, no goal, no plan, no motivation will ever hold. But when you start keeping your own promises, even the smallest ones, your entire mindset begins to shift. You begin to believe again in your potential, in your power, in your ability to rebuild. So take responsibility for the mess, for the mistakes, for the missed chances, and also for the miracle that can come after. No one is coming to rescue you, but that's not bad news. That's the best news there is, because it means the power to change your life has always been in your hands. It always will be. And once you fully accept that truth, nothing in this world can stop you from rebuilding yourself. Redesign your mindset before your life, because everything you see on the outside first begins on the inside. The world you experience is a reflection of the world within you. You can change your clothes, your address, your job, even your friends. But if your thinking stays the same, your results will too. The outer structure of your life is built from the blueprint of your mind. If your blueprint is small, your life will remain confined. But if you expand your thinking, you expand the walls of your possibilities. Everything begins in thought before it becomes reality. A rebuilt life is the product of a rebuilt mind. Most people try to change their circumstances without changing their beliefs. They want success, but still think like failures. They want happiness, but still dwell on pain. They want abundance, but speak words of scarcity. It's like planting seeds of weeds and hoping for roses. You cannot harvest a new life from old thoughts. Rebuilding begins when you take time to reprogram what goes on in your mind, the stories you tell yourself, the things you focus on, and the way you interpret life. If you think small, you'll live small. If you think big, act big, and believe big, your world starts to open in ways you never imagined. Your mind is like a garden. If you don't plant positive, powerful thoughts, weeds of doubt and fear will grow automatically. You don't have to work hard for negativity to appear. It's natural, it's easy, it's everywhere. But growth, confidence, and clarity must be intentionally planted. Every day you must decide what you'll allow to take root in your mind. When you wake up, you can choose to focus on problems or possibilities. One choice keeps you stuck, the other moves you forward. Rebuilding your mindset requires discipline, the kind of discipline that trains your thoughts the way an athlete trains their body. You can't think like the old you and expect to live like the new you. The mind is a builder. Whatever you consistently think about, you begin to attract, act upon, and eventually become. If you constantly tell yourself you can't, your mind will collect proof of your limitations. But if you tell yourself you can, your mind starts searching for strategies and opportunities. The quality of your questions determines the quality of your answers. Ask your mind small questions, and you'll get small results. Ask bigger ones. How can I grow? How can I serve more? How can I become better than I was yesterday? And your life begins to reshape itself around those ideas. Redesigning your mindset also means confronting your mental habits. Every day, you repeat thousands of thoughts, most of which are leftovers from yesterday. If those thoughts are negative, doubtful, or fearful, you're carrying the past into the present and calling it your future. To rebuild, you have to interrupt that cycle. Catch yourself when you start saying, I always mess up, or nothing works for me. Stop feeding those ideas with emotion. Replace them with truth, with power, with the belief that you can evolve. The mind accepts what you repeatedly tell it, so tell it something worth believing. A powerful mindset doesn't come from pretending everything is perfect. It comes from believing that, no matter how imperfect things are, you can still create progress. It's not blind optimism, it's deliberate focus. You stop seeing challenges as punishment and start seeing them as preparation. Every problem becomes a teacher. Every delay becomes a test of patience. Every struggle becomes proof that you're in motion. When you redesign your mindset, pain doesn't disappear, it transforms into purpose. Another part of rebuilding your mindset is who and what you listen to. You can't fill your mind with noise and expect peace. You can't fill it with gossip and expect growth. Your environment speaks to your mind constantly. Through the people you spend time with, the content you consume, and the conversations you allow. Protect your mental space like a builder protects a foundation. If the base is weak, the structure collapses. Choose words, influences, and surroundings that feed your future, not your fears. You also have to learn to be patient with your transformation. The old mindset will try to pull you back. It will whisper that you're not good enough, that change is too hard, that maybe this is just who you are. But you are not your past patterns. You are the architect of your next version. Rebuilding your mindset is not a one-day job. It's a daily commitment, a slow reshaping of your inner world until your thoughts start aligning with your vision. One day you'll realize that the things that used to scare you no longer do, that the doubts that used to stop you now drive you, and that the fears that once defined you have lost their power. When you change your mindset, you change your language, your behavior, and your energy. People will notice it before you do. They'll sense your confidence, your calm, your clarity. That's when you'll know your inner world has been rebuilt, when your peace no longer depends on outside validation. The storms will come, but they won't shake you the same way. The failures will arrive, but they won't define you. You'll stand taller because your roots run deeper. That's the power of a redesigned mind. It becomes the foundation for everything else you're building. Discipline is the foundation of transformation because it's the bridge between goals and results. Anyone can dream, anyone can wish, but only the disciplined turn desire into achievement. Motivation may start the fire, but discipline keeps it burning when the excitement fades. Rebuilding yourself requires more than inspiration. It requires consistent, deliberate action, even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is the quiet strength that says, I'll do it anyway. It's the decision to act on what you said you would do long after the mood has left you. The truth is, without discipline, potential remains potential. You can have talent, vision, and intelligence, but if you lack discipline, none of it will matter in the long run. Every person who has rebuilt their life started with one choice: the choice to control their actions rather than be controlled by their feelings. Most people wait for the perfect mood, the perfect moment, or the perfect environment before they start. But those who understand discipline know that waiting for the right conditions is another form of procrastination. They don't wait to feel ready, they act to become ready. Every day they build small habits that shape their future. Waking up early, reading instead of scrolling, saving instead of spending, practicing instead of postponing. It's these quiet decisions that lay the foundation for success. The results may not show immediately, but the consistency compounds. Discipline isn't glamorous. It's not loud or exciting. It's often lonely, repetitive, and thankless. It's the part no one sees. The early mornings, the late nights, the moments of self-doubt when quitting seems easier. But this is where character is forged. Discipline doesn't just build results, it builds identity. When you consistently follow through on your promises, you begin to trust yourself. You start believing that your word means something even when no one's watching. That trust becomes the foundation of self-confidence. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you remind yourself that you're capable of more than you thought. There's a misconception that discipline takes freedom away, but the opposite is true. Discipline creates freedom. Freedom from chaos, from regret, from wasted potential. A disciplined person doesn't live by impulse. They live by intention. They don't chase everything that glitters. They stay focused on what matters. When you're disciplined, you don't have to rely on luck because your consistency creates predictable results. It's like planting seeds every day. You may not see the harvest immediately, but you know it's coming because you've been faithful to the process. Discipline demands sacrifice, but not in the way people think. It's not about giving up joy. It's about trading short-term pleasure for long-term satisfaction. It's about saying no to distractions so you can say yes to destiny. The person rebuilding their life understands that the pain of discipline is far lighter than the pain of regret. Every decision to stay focused, to show up, to do the work, even when it's uncomfortable, becomes an investment in a stronger future. Success doesn't come from what you do occasionally. It comes from what you do consistently. The small disciplines you practice daily become the habits that define your destiny. Discipline also means managing your emotions, not being ruled by them. You will have days when you're tired, uninspired, and frustrated. But the disciplined mind knows how to act despite emotion. It doesn't surrender to laziness or negativity. Instead, it uses routine as a form of structure. Routine is the friend of discipline because it removes the need to negotiate with yourself every day. When something becomes a habit, you don't have to think about it. You just do it. The most successful people build systems that protect their discipline because they know that willpower alone won't last forever. The journey of rebuilding yourself will test your discipline at every level. There will be moments when nothing seems to work, when you question your efforts, when progress feels invisible. That's when most people quit, but it's also when discipline matters most. The process is slow, but it's never wasted. Growth doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it's happening quietly, beneath the surface, preparing you for a bigger season. Discipline teaches patience, the understanding that real transformation takes time. You can't rush the process. You can only trust it. Discipline isn't just about doing the hard things. It's about becoming the kind of person who can be trusted with greater things. When you master discipline in one area, it spills into every area of your life. The discipline to exercise leads to better energy. The discipline to manage money leads to stability. The discipline to learn leads to opportunity. It all connects because the person you become in the process is the real reward. Discipline doesn't just build results. It rebuilds you. It shapes your thinking, strengthens your will, and solidifies your purpose. So when the path feels long and the progress feels slow, remember that discipline is the quiet force behind every great transformation. You may not see the results today, but every action, every repetition, every small step is adding up. One day, you'll look back and realize that the discipline you practiced daily was the foundation of the person you became. And that foundation is what makes rebuilding yourself not just possible, but permanent. You can't rebuild yourself while staying in the same environment that broke you. The people, the habits, the noise, the distractions, they all shape who you become. If you want to rebuild, you must upgrade your environment. Growth requires separation, and separation often feels uncomfortable. But if you keep surrounding yourself with the same conversations, the same energy, and the same routines that led to your downfall, you'll repeat the same cycles. You can't expect transformation in a place built for stagnation. To build a new version of yourself, you must plant yourself in a new soil, one that nourishes your potential instead of draining it. Your environment is more powerful than your willpower. Even the strongest person can lose focus if surrounded by negativity. The people around you influence your attitude, your habits, and even your expectations of what's possible. Spend time with those who complain all day, and soon you'll start complaining too. Spend time with those who dream big, work hard, and think positively, and you'll start doing the same. Energy is contagious, whether positive or negative. If you walk into a room full of inspired, disciplined people, it pushes you to rise. If you walk into a room full of excuses, it pulls you down without you even noticing. That's why rebuilding yourself starts with evaluating who and what you allow into your space. Sometimes the hardest part of rebuilding is letting go of the familiar. You'll have to release relationships that no longer align with your growth, habits that no longer serve your purpose, and environments that no longer reflect your goals. It's not about arrogance, it's about alignment. You can't build a new future while holding hands with your past. The comfort zone feels safe, but it's where potential goes to die. Stepping away from old patterns might feel lonely at first, but that loneliness is the space where growth begins. In that silence, you start hearing your own thoughts again. You start reconnecting with who you are and who you're becoming. Upgrading your environment doesn't only mean changing people, it means changing what you feed your mind, the books you read, the content you watch, the conversations you engage in. All of these are part of your environment. If your mind is a garden, then your environment is the weather. You can't grow in storms of negativity, criticism, and distraction. Choose what nourishes you. Read things that challenge you to think differently. Listen to voices that build your courage. Surround yourself with stories of people who overcame obstacles and rebuilt their lives from scratch. Inspiration is fuel for the rebuilding process, and your environment determines how much of it you receive each day. Every detail of your surroundings has an effect on your mindset. The state of your workspace, the energy of your home, the habits of your circle, all of these create either momentum or resistance. If your room is cluttered, your mind feels scattered. And if your environment is chaotic, your thoughts become restless. Clean your space, organize your time, simplify your schedule. These small physical changes help you regain mental clarity. A structured environment supports a structured mind. When you take control of your surroundings, you start feeling more in control of your life. Many people try to rebuild themselves, but stay tied to environments that constantly pull them backward. It might be old friends who mock your ambition, or family members who can't see your vision. It might be coworkers who settle for mediocrity, or neighborhoods that thrive on gossip instead of growth. If you stay there too long, you start believing that's all there is. But there's always more. There's always a higher level waiting for those who are willing to outgrow their surroundings. Growth demands courage, the courage to distance yourself from what's easy and move toward what's necessary. You must understand that isolation isn't always punishment. Sometimes it's preparation. The caterpillar doesn't transform in the crowd, it transforms in the cocoon. The same applies to you. There will be seasons when you have to pull back, when your world gets quiet, when you lose people you thought would stay forever. But in that space, you'll find strength you didn't know you had. You'll begin to see who truly supports your vision and who only supported your comfort. Those who are meant to stay will grow with you. Those who aren't will fade as you rise. When you intentionally create an environment that matches your goals, everything starts to align. You wake up with clarity because you've removed the noise. You focus with intensity because distractions no longer compete for your attention. You make progress faster because your surroundings support your habits instead of sabotaging them. The books on your shelf, the voices in your ear, the people in your phone, the energy in your home, all of it becomes a reflection of the new version of you that you're building. Rebuilding yourself isn't just about changing your mindset. It's about changing the space that your mindset lives in. Your environment is either pushing you toward your future or pulling you back into your past. The moment you decide to upgrade it, to choose growth over comfort, focus over distraction, and progress over familiarity, you give yourself permission to evolve. And once your environment aligns with your purpose, rebuilding yourself stops feeling like a struggle and starts feeling like a natural next step. Rebuilding yourself means learning, unlearning, and relearning, a process of constant renewal that shapes who you are becoming. Life is not just about gaining new knowledge. It's about releasing outdated beliefs that hold you back and embracing new ones that align with your growth. The person you were 5 years ago is not supposed to be the same person you are now. Change is not a sign of confusion. It's a sign of evolution. When you rebuild yourself, you are not starting from zero. You are starting from experience, from lessons, from a deeper awareness of what no longer serves you. Growth requires flexibility, and the greatest skill you can ever develop is the ability to adapt, to let go, and to begin again with greater wisdom. But learning is how you grow, but unlearning is how you free yourself. So much of what limits people isn't ignorance, it's the illusion of knowledge. The things they believe are true, but no longer are. We inherit patterns from family, society, and past experiences that shape our identity. Some of those patterns help us, but many keep us small. Maybe you were told that success is only for certain people, or that failure is the end instead of the beginning, or that it's safer to fit in than to stand out. These ideas take root over time and quietly dictate your behavior. Rebuilding yourself requires courage. The courage to question everything you've been taught and ask, does this still serve me? If it doesn't, it's time to let it go. The process of unlearning can be uncomfortable because it challenges the beliefs that once gave you security. You'll find yourself shedding old versions of your identity, the overthinker, the people pleaser, the doubter, the one who always played it safe. Letting go of these identities feels like losing parts of yourself, but what you're really losing are the chains that kept you from growing. Every time you unlearn a limitation, you create space for a new possibility. That's why rebuilding yourself isn't about becoming someone else. It's about uncovering who you've always been beneath the noise, beneath the conditioning, beneath the fear. Once you've cleared the old patterns, relearning becomes the key to transformation. Relearning is about seeing the world with new eyes, learning how to think instead of what to think, how to choose instead of how to conform. It's about replacing fear with understanding, replacing excuses with execution, and replacing doubt with discipline. Relearning isn't about repeating what you already know. It's about deepening your understanding and applying it in new ways. Every experience becomes a classroom. Every failure becomes feedback. Every challenge becomes a lesson in disguise. When you rebuild yourself through learning and relearning, you stop seeing life as a test and start seeing it as training. The world changes fast, and so must you. What worked yesterday may not work today. The strategies, habits, and beliefs that once helped you survive may now hold you back from thriving. That's why you must stay curious. Curiosity keeps you young in spirit and sharp in mind. The moment you think you know it all, you stop growing. But the moment you realize there's always more to learn, you keep evolving. Curiosity opens doors that fear keeps closed. It makes you humble enough to ask questions and brave enough to seek answers. A curious mind never gets stuck because it's always willing to explore new paths. Rebuilding yourself also means becoming a student of your own life. Every mistake, every disappointment, every setback, they're not punishments, they're teachers. When you approach life as a learner, even pain has purpose. You start asking, what is this trying to teach me instead of why is this happening to me? That shift in mindset turns obstacles into opportunities. You begin to see patterns in your failures, lessons in your losses, and direction in your detour. Life will keep giving you the same lesson until you learn it. And once you do, you move to a higher level of understanding. To rebuild yourself through learning, unlearning, and relearning, you must also guard your inputs. What you read, what you listen to, and who you associate with all shape your thinking. If your mind is constantly fed with negativity, you'll struggle to see possibility. But if you feed it wisdom, positivity, and truth, you'll start to think on a higher frequency. Growth is not just about adding information. It's about choosing the right information. Knowledge that aligns with your goals, principles that strengthen your character, and wisdom that refines your decisions. The process never ends. Life will always invite you to learn more, to release more, to rise higher. There will be seasons when you outgrow jobs, relationships, and even old dreams. That's not failure, that's transformation. Rebuilding yourself is a lifelong process of renewal, becoming aware of who you are today while preparing for who you can be tomorrow. Each phase of life demands a new version of you, and that version is shaped through the lessons you're willing to learn, the beliefs you're willing to unlearn, and the truths you're willing to relearn. When you embrace this continuous cycle, you stop resisting change and start welcoming it. You understand that growth is not something that happens once. It's something that happens every day. You may fall, you may fail, but you'll keep evolving because a mind that stays open never stops rebuilding. And in that constant renewal, you'll find the strength to create a life that reflects not who you were, but who you were always meant to become. You can't rebuild yourself without vision and persistence. Vision gives direction, and persistence gives momentum. One shows you where to go, and the other keeps you moving until you get there. Without vision, you drift. Without persistence, you quit. The combination of both creates transformation. Vision is not just a dream or a fantasy. It's a clear picture of what your life could be if you decided to live to your full potential. It's the ability to see beyond where you are and imagine what's possible if you refuse to settle. Rebuilding yourself begins the moment you stop seeing yourself for what you are and start seeing yourself for what you can become. That mental image of a better version of you becomes your internal compass. Vision gives meaning to your struggle. When you know where you're going, even the hardest days have purpose. Challenges stop feeling like punishment and start feeling like preparation. Every great builder starts with a blueprint. Without it, they wouldn't know what to build. The same is true for your life. If you don't know where you're going, how will you know what steps to take? Vision defines your priorities. It helps you say no to distractions that don't align with your goals. It gives you something to wake up for, something to push through for, something to hold on to when everything around you feels uncertain. But a vision without persistence is just imagination. Dreams die not because they're impossible, but because people give up too soon. Persistence is what separates the inspired from the successful. It's what keeps you going after rejection, failure, and disappointment. Anyone can be excited on day one. Anyone can start strong, but it's persistence that carries you through day 100, day 1000. The moments when no one is watching and the results haven't shown yet. When you're rebuilding yourself, you'll face setbacks. You'll question your path. You'll wonder if it's worth it. That's when persistence becomes your greatest weapon. It whispers, keep going. You're closer than you think. Rebuilding your life is not a straight line. It's a winding road full of detours and delays. Sometimes you'll plant seeds and see nothing grow for a while. You'll pour your time, your energy, and your heart into something, and the results will feel invisible. But persistence means you stay faithful to the process, even when the progress is slow. It means you trust the unseen growth happening beneath the surface. The bamboo tree stays underground for years before it breaks through the soil. But when it does, it grows faster than almost any other plant. People who persist are like that bamboo. They keep watering, keep believing, and keep working until the breakthrough comes. Vision and persistence also shape your mindset. Vision teaches you to think long-term, while persistence trains you to endure the short-term struggles. Together, they keep you balanced, grounded in the present but focused on the future. The person with vision can see the destination, but the person with persistence walks the miles to get there. You can't rebuild yourself in a day. It takes time to form new habits, to rebuild confidence, to repair what was broken. You'll have moments when quitting feels easier than continuing, when doubt screams louder than hope. But that's the test. Every time you choose to keep going, you strengthen your resilience. Your vision will evolve as you do. The picture you have today might change tomorrow, and that's okay. Growth will reveal new possibilities, and persistence will keep you steady as they unfold. Some people stop because their vision seems too big. Others stop because it seems too far. But every big goal is just a series of small steps done consistently. You don't climb a mountain in one leap. You climb it one step at a time, even when the summit is hidden by clouds. Persistence teaches patience, and patience makes progress sustainable. When you live with vision, you start to notice opportunities that were invisible before. When you live with persistence, you seize those opportunities and turn them into results. Vision gives you clarity, persistence gives you grit. One shows you the promise, the other demands the price. And that price is consistency, effort, and belief, especially when no one else believes in you. The world rewards those who stay the course, who keep showing up, who refuse to give up even when the odds say they should. Rebuilding yourself requires both faith and effort. Faith that your vision is worth it, and effort to keep moving when it feels like nothing is working. Some days persistence will feel heavy. You'll doubt your path, your timing, even your purpose. But remember, persistence isn't about perfection. It's about showing up again and again. It's about doing your best with what you have, where you are, until you can do better. Vision will remind you of why you started, and persistence will carry you through every storm until you arrive. When your vision is clear and your persistence unshakable, no setback can destroy you. You might bend, but you won't break. You might fall, but you won't stay down, because you've built your foundation not on luck, not on motivation, but on conviction. And that conviction, that unwavering belief in the life you're building, becomes the power that rebuilds you from the inside out. Rebuilding yourself is not a single act. It's a lifelong process of responsibility, mindset, discipline, environment, learning, and vision. It's about looking at your life and deciding that the story isn't over yet, that you still have more to give, more to grow, more to become. It's about taking ownership of your journey, shaping your thoughts into strength, staying disciplined when comfort tempts you, surrounding yourself with people and places that lift you higher, letting go of beliefs that no longer serve you, and keeping your eyes fixed on the vision of who you can be. Every step, every challenge, every quiet decision to keep going builds the new you. The process may be slow, but it's real. The pain may be deep, but it's purposeful. Because the moment you choose to rebuild, life begins to respond in ways you never imagined. No matter where you are right now, whether you're starting over, healing, or fighting to stay focused, remember this: you have the power to rebuild. You have the strength to rise again. You are not defined by what broke you, but by what you build after. Every day is a chance to rewrite your story, to stand taller, to grow stronger, and to live wiser. Keep your heart humble, your mind open, and your will unshakable. I wish you courage in your rebuilding, faith in your journey, and peace in your progress. May you never stop growing, never stop learning, and never stop believing in what's possible for you. Good luck on your journey, and thank you for listening.